Good day. I've been noticing on the YouTube channels that people are making their own picks and pick handles, and I thought I'd show you what I've done, which isn't very much, but I started making picks back in the mid-1960s, right after the Beatles, I believe. I was a teenager, and one of my hobbies was magic. And one of our idols, well, my idols, was Harry Houdini, who was the most famous escape artist. He seemed to be able to pick every single lock, get out of any kind of thing you could possibly imagine. And so I did everything I could too as well. I try to practice magic and try and do some tricks like that, very simple things, and got pretty good at it. And I do birthday parties and conventions and shows, and get in and out of handcuffs and locks and chains, all that sort of thing. And this is the very first pick set I ever made. And it's 50 years old or older. And I'll show you what I made here, or found. Back then, water locks were very, very popular. And I made water locks out of keys that came with the locks and filed down everything that wasn't necessary. So these became master keys for small padlocks. And this is one, I don't remember where I got it. I may have got it at a magic shop way back when, for also opening up water locks. On this side, I had a tension wrench I made out of a big bobby pin. Just a little pick made out of a paper clip to open up water locks. I made this out of a coat hanger, beat it down with a hammer for some lever locks that I had. And then I had handcuff keys to get out of the handcuffs with. And that's how I got interested in lockpicking, is doing that and making my own and figuring out how locks work and performing. More recently, last summer, I decided to try my hand at pick making. I had some tools, hand tools and some power tools to use, but I didn't have didn't have the steel or the wood to make handles or anything like that, so I had to improvise and look on YouTube to find things. I made my picks out of windshield wiper blades. We have 3 different sizes that I found at my local automobile repair place. He allowed me to go through their trash can and pull out the metal out of the windshield wiper blades that they replaced in cars. And they come in 3 sizes, at least here they do. This is a 0.40. This one is 0.30, and this is a 0.20. And this one, well, this smaller one here is 3/32 of an inch wide. This is 1/8 of an inch wide. And this is about 3/16, almost a 1/4 of an inch. I use this thinner one to make tension wrenches with, and I use this middle one also to make tension wrench with. And this one is a lot wider, so I can make different widths in the picks. So you could make one like this that has a tapered in on it with different size keyways. And to make the pick, I would get the pick profile that I wanted. In this case, I had a broken pick, but you can use the whole pick. And I would trace the profile of it with magic marker on the piece of steel. And I would take this to my garage and use my grinder to grind out roughly the shape. Get most of the metal off, and then I'd use a Dremel tool to finely shape it. And then I would use a metal file to get it to where I was satisfied with it. And then I would, since this is so thick, I would get a wet sandpaper and like a 600 grit, and I would sand it down till I got to the width that I wanted it to be, or the thickness I wanted it to be. Then I'd use finer and finer sandpaper to polish the end to make it. And this would be the tang here, full tang. And let me show you what my picks look like that I made. They're not perfect, but it's my first time in doing that. I'll show you each of them. There's a triple peak. Let's see here. That's a half diamond. It's another very, very poorly made triple peak. Short hook. These two are short hooks, but have just a slightly different profile. It's a city rake. And this is a Nessie. This one is a Medusa. Another variation on a city rake, more like a sawtooth. Another city rake. And this is another Medusa with a deeper hook on it. And this is just a knife probe. And the handles for all these, I went on the YouTube and found Locknoob was making handles out of cable ties. So all this plastic. The inside has the little teeth in it that the head grabs on. So that gives it some tooth. And what I do, I snap off the end and I measure about, let's see, here's one. It measures about 3.5 inches. So I measure 3.5 inches right there. Give it a snip. Doesn't want to cut very well. There we go. Cut another 3.5 inches. And here I have my handle. I put the ratcheted ends face to face like this. And after I get my pick cut, let's see if I have one. This is one I did, just started on and gave up on it, but you see I just started cutting onto it. But I take, after I grind it down and get the shape I want, I stick it in here, figure out how much I want this to hang out, and I'll cut off any excess metal about maybe 1/4 inch before you get to the very bottom here. Then I would mix up some epoxy. You can use any kind of epoxy you can, JB Weld or 3M, whatever you have, where you mix it up and you just spread the epoxy onto the ratcheted end on both of these, and then you lay your pick into it. And sandwich it together, get it all lined up the way you want to, and then you clamp it and let it set for the recommended time on the glue. You can clamp it in a vise or use vice grips or paper, clothesline clips or whatever you can, and you let it cure for 8 hours or overnight or whatever it says to do. Then when it's all finished, you pull it out and you can use a file or a grinder to round off the edges like that. And let's see here, the tip, you can do that with a file, just round them off a little bit like that. And then I get some shrink wrap tubing and put that over the sandwich of these, and then apply heat to it and seal it. So that gives you a nice stiff handle. The tubing gives you a nice smooth grip, and it's very comfortable and very inexpensive. You can, of course, get the cable ties about any hardware store, and if you go to your auto parts store, you can get all the wiper blades you want. You just have to search to get the different thicknesses and widths, but they're out there, and you can start making your own picks. So that's what I've done. They're not the prettiest things in the world, but I've picked at least one lock with every single one of these picks, so I know that they work. And I'm pretty happy with them, but I've got a lot more work to do to get anywhere near anybody else out there that makes these things. So hopefully you'll learn something from this, and you'll get up some courage and go out there and try and make your own picks. It's not very hard at all to make the handles. That's usually the hardest part. So give it a try, and I'll talk to you later.